Welcome. My name is Evgeny Rusakov and you're watching TVP World, interview from Vilnius. On the 14th of November, the new Lithuanian Parliament began its work. This is a new political page, mainly, of course, for Lithuania, but also for the whole region. To discuss main challenges and future work of the Lithuanian Parliament, we are joined today by the Lithuanian MP Tomas Tomilinas. Hello, Tomas, and thank you for joining us today.
Hello.
So,
nice to be here.
Briefly, how do you see main challenges of this Lithuanian Parliament for the next 4 years?
I think that the main challenges remain unchanged. We have a big war on European continent, so that means that we have mobilized all possible resources in Lithuania as well as in Europe to help Ukraine. So this is also the big challenge is many social issues, as we see from actually elections in United States. Economic agenda is important. There is a huge inflation consequences, also political consequences. So we need to implement policies that we have promised. That means also reducing inequality and increasing quality of life for everybody. And that is a big challenge always. And I think we have a platform and program for that.
Now, let's talk about your platform. The ruling coalition, which you are also a part of, consists of 3 political parties. And the leader of one of those parties is Remigijus Žemaitaitis, a politician who was recently accused of anti-Semitic remarks that forced him to resign from his mandate during the previous Lithuanian Parliament. So do you think this was the right decision to form a ruling coalition with that specific politician and his political party?
First of all, I have to say that this coalition negotiations were quite difficult, and it's a difficult decision. There is a really decision of voters who will be in parliament. I'm not the person who is deciding which parties are elected. These parties were elected, and there must be a coalition. So I must say a very clear message. In this parliament, there will be no room for any kind of anti-Semitism, any kind of homophobia, any kind of Russian propaganda, and so on. So this is the very clear message. And there is a problem with one person and his statements in the past. And I think that even his party has distanced herself from his former statements. So I'm quite optimistic that there will be no room for any kind of misuse of political speech and so on. Of course, there is also a criminal prosecution for his statements, and we have to wait for the results.
Okay, but do you think that this politician himself understands his position at this specific moment?
I hope so. There are different strategies how you calm down this kind of populists. From one side, you have German experience where traditional parties try to distance themselves and make this red line from the populist parties. There is also an Austrian strategy where they invite this kind of politicians to rule a coalition and silence them in this way. We have to go deeper and we did, and we discuss, we see the platform, the program of this party, we see the people there, and I don't see any kind of radicalism and any kind of anti-Semitism there. So we don't have to exaggerate this problem, and when we see some opposition parties traveling around Europe and trying to mobilize some skepticism towards Lithuania, that also doesn't look very nice, especially in this kind of situation when we have much bigger challenges either in Europe or in the United States. So we have to be more careful, I think.
What would you say to the criticism that came all across Europe and world after it became known who would be in that ruling coalition?
I think we have to calm down and see what we are really preparing to do. We have a ruling coalition agreement that is really, I would say, a progressive one in many ways. It states all the continuity to the Ukraine, policies towards Ukraine, and our geopolitical orientations, and we also have a lot of work to do to make our citizens' life better.
Okay, one last question. Do you think that this politician and his political party could become an obstacle for Rhine metal factory building and for German brigade dislocation in Lithuania?
No, I don't think so. I think that the most important thing is the position of parties, the position of future prime minister. We have just elected our Speaker of Parliament, who is a member of our party, a Democrat, Saulius Skvernelis, former Prime Minister. So we have very solid personalities in charge of this country, and we have to be very careful and very consistent and very clear in dealing with German partners, which are very important for us.
Brilliant. Let's go on. So another interesting person in the ruling coalition is Gintautas Paluckas, a politician that will most probably become the next Lithuanian Prime Minister. So according to some critics, he is nothing but the Kremlin's project, which definitely is very doubtful, but I'm just quoting what they said. So how would you respond to that?
I would say that this is complete nonsense, and I don't understand what kind of expert is that to say this kind of strange...
Trust me, we have some.
Very strange words. I would say that Gintautas Paluckas is as any other Western politician, Western leader, and if we speak about his more or less more centrist position on providing heavy weapons to Ukraine before the big war. So I would say that any leader in the Western world, including Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, were quite reluctant to providing tanks in you say 2021 or something like that. That was another situation, and there were quite many discussions how to help Ukraine. And of course, when the war broke, the position of Western leaders changed. So did the position of many people in Lithuania. So I don't see any kind of how we can prove this strange...
Well, trust me, those experts, they always find something that really, works like this. They say, and there it goes.
Yeah.
So
we have very traditional big Social Democratic Party as the main coalition partner, and their position on foreign policies, they are quite clear, and they also claim the continuity of policies, and we have the president that is very clear on those issues. So I don't see any threats to Lithuanian foreign policy.
It's good that you mentioned Ukraine, because my next question is just about Ukraine. So Lithuanian Parliament of the previous convocation supported Ukraine by all means. So should Ukraine expect any changes from this newly elected parliament?
No, and in the main speech of newly elected Speaker of Parliament, Saulius Skvernelis, there was a very clear message that we will do everything we can to help Ukraine. We will continue doing this, and we will mobilize our partners in Europe even more after some... We don't know what happens in the United States, so that means we don't know exactly what happens. We can foresee something, but generally...
Definitely.
It's the war. Trump administration is right. The war is on the European continent. It's our obligation to mobilize much more resources, which we have. We are the richest countries on the global stage. We have the resources to help Ukraine. We have just to do more.
Relations with China, another interesting topic. So Parliament of the previous convocation was very skeptical about them, and looks like this parliament has totally different stance towards China. So critics will again say it's too dangerous, but I would like to hear from you as a representative of the ruling coalition. What's your take, and what's the ruling coalition's take on relations with China?
I think that any country in Europe wants to have normal relations with China, and if Lithuania somehow will improve relations with China, that's of course up to Prime Minister We don't know who's going to be the foreign minister yet, so it's not my direct obligation to deal with these issues. But generally speaking, if there will be some improvement with relations with China, I think that Lithuania will not differ very much from the rest of Europe. But we will not do that on the cost of friendship with Taiwan, I think. So there will be continuation of good relations with Taiwan. And I think that there were a lot of mistakes done by the previous government, and there was no plan to ruin the relations with China.
Okay. By the way, what kind of mistakes, if I may ask you?
Yeah, but I think
briefly.
it was too many of like personal initiatives, very not planned initiatives, some mistakes, undiscussed even in ruling coalition. So we know these mistakes from public space very well. I mean, if the coalition partners, liberals, were saying that the strategy was not discussed with them, so how can we speak about wise policies? But of course, I mean, what was done was done. It doesn't mean that we have just to overturn everything. And Taiwan is our friend, so we have to also to understand and keep that in mind.
How do you think this friendship with Taiwan, could it become a big obstacle for restoring relations with China?
From China's side, it's definitely is problematic. So the future foreign minister has to look for ways how to do it. Maybe there is a way. I'm not an expert on that, but I see that there is a will to do it, but not on the cost of some good results in relation with Taiwan. China is a global power, and China is. We have to deal. We are dealing with China just as the rest of the world, including Europe and America, but on the level of strategic decisions, for example, should we sell all of our strategic factories or some refineries or some to Chinese? No, because we have laws that prohibit this kind of purchase. But on the level of rhetoric, should we continue these critical attitudes? I'm not sure. Maybe we can improve it, and so that we improve also the relations.
Okay, clear with that. Let's move on. Relations with Trump and his administration. How do you see this one in specific?
I think it's a global phenomenon. What's going on? We have this kind of unexpected results. We have to deal with. We have to respect the decision of citizens of United States. We have to dig deeper and understand why did it happen. What did the previous administration did wrong? What are the unfulfilled expectations of some voters? Because same things will happen sooner or later on the European continent. It's nothing very different. So I think that we have to learn more from this victory, and our relations towards America will be perfect, I hope. And I think that we are fulfilling all the expectations of Trump's administration, possible future administration, about our commitment to defense spendings, our commitment to NATO. So I'm pretty sure that we're safe, and we can also provide some advices to Western European leaders how to deal with this situation.
And the US is still our main strategic partner.
Of course, US is our main strategic partner, and I don't think so that it will change somehow.
Brilliant. Okay, Tomas, I wish you luck. For next 4 years, we'll definitely keep an eye on your work and on the work of the ruling coalition. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
And I would like to remind our viewers that our guest for today was a Lithuanian MP, Tomas Tomilinas. You're watching TVP World. Stay with us.